My sister-in-law, Tiffany, was obsessed with not getting stretch marks. She got it into her thick skull that she needed to cut the baby out via C-section at exactly 33 weeks. I was the one who rallied the whole family to stop her insane plan. Eventually, Tiffany carried the baby to full term. But guess what? She got stretch marks, tiger stripes right across her belly. She spiraled into severe postpartum depression. She convinced herself that I was the reason her life was ruined. I thought I destroyed her body on purpose. She lured me to the rooftop of her apartment complex and pushed me off. When I opened my eyes again, I was back on the day Tiffany went to the clinic. "Did you find a surgeon who will do it?" "Perfect. Money isn't an issue," I heard her say, her voice hushed but frantic. "I just want to get this thing out at 33 weeks. Any later, and my skin is going to rip. My body will be ruined." She paused, listening to the person on the other end. "I don't give a damn about the risks. I am not ruining the rest of my life for some brat." Just like the last timeline, I accidentally overheard Tiffany on the phone. We were both pregnant at the same time, and I had a prenatal checkup scheduled for the same day. I saw her in the hallway of the OBGYN clinic. I was about to walk over and say hi. When I heard that bullshit, my heart hammered in my chest. Even though I'm not a doctor, I'm not an idiot. I knew the damage of premature birth does to a child. At 33 weeks, the lungs aren't fully developed, brain isn't ready. The risk of death or long-term disability is huge. In my past life, panic took over. I interrupted her immediately. "No, Tiffany, are you crazy? You can't let the baby be born this early." She had slammed the phone down, glaring at me like I was a cockroach. "What the hell are you doing here, Chloe? This is my business. Back off." I tried to reason with her. "Tiffany, a preemie baby could have lifelong health issues. We can't be irresponsible parents." She just sneered at me. "I'm not a basic bitch like you, Chloe. I'm not going to sacrifice my health and my body for a kid." She stormed off, dialing her phone again. Back then, I was too stupid to be angry. I just wanted to save the kid. Called my brother Brad. I called her parents. I told them Tiffany was planning a premature extraction. They flipped out. Tiffany had already done a gender reveal. It was a boy, the heir to the family name. My parents treated his existence like the second coming of Christ. That night, the family staged an intervention. They begged, they threatened. And finally, Tiffany agreed to wait until full term. Later, we both went into labor around the same time. We both had healthy 7-pound boys. My parents were over the moon. Double blessing. Everyone was happy except Tiffany. During her recovery, she would stare at her stomach and cry. She'd sigh loudly, looking at the loose skin. When my nephew Jackson cried for milk, she ignored him. She acted like he didn't exist. Every morning, the first thing she did was lift her shirt to check her belly. Did the red marks fade? Was the pooch going down? But bodies don't snap back. Overnight, her mental state deteriorated. She started regretting her decision to listen to us. One day, I went to visit her. She demanded I lift my shirt. I was confused, but I did it. She circled me like a shark, poking my stomach. Suddenly, she pinched the skin on my waist hard. "It hurt like hell, you bitch," she screamed. "You did this on purpose. You made me look like a monster. Look at you. Not a single stretch mark. You tricked me because you wanted me to be ugly." I tried to explain that it's just genetics, that I was lucky, but she was too far gone. She started hitting me, screaming curses. Months later, my brother told me she locked herself in her room all day, ignoring the baby. Then came the day. She tricked me up to the roof and shoved me over the edge. The wind rushing past my ears was the last thing I heard before I hit the concrete. I realized Tiffany hated me with every fiber of her. Being reborn, standing in that clinic hallway, my first instinct was to turn around and run. But Tiffany turned her head. She saw me. "Chloe, how long have you been standing there?" She covered the phone with her hand, looking suspicious. "Did you hear my call?" "No. No way." I waved my hands, putting on my best dumb blonde face. "Literally just walked in." "Really?" Her eyes narrowed. "I'm warning you, don't stick your nose where it doesn't belong." "Oh, totally." I nodded like a bobblehead. "Anyway, gotta run. Bye, Tiffany." I bolted. I wasn't going to stick around. I wasn't going to save her. And I sure as hell wasn't going to die for her again. This time without my interference. Tiffany went through with it. At 33 weeks, she found some shady cash-only private clinic downtown, probably one that does botched BBLs in the basement, and paid them to cut my nephew out early. By the time my brother Brad found out, it was done. My poor nephew, Jackson. He came out weighing barely 4 pounds. His hands were tiny like bird claws. He looks like an alien because his lungs were underdeveloped. I immediately shoved a tube down his throat and threw him in the NICU. He should have been safe inside. His mother growing. Instead, he was fighting for his life in a plastic box. Because his mom wanted a bikini body, My mom cried every time she talked about it. My dad was breaking dishes in anger. Chloe, did you know about this? Brad asked me one night at dinner. Tiffany said you were at the clinic the day she booked it. Brad stared at me. In my last life, when Tiffany was beating me, Brad stood there and let it happen, even joined in calling me a liar. I looked him dead in the eye. Brad, are you stupid? If I knew, wouldn't I have told you? Why would Tiffany tell me her secret plan? I put on my most innocent face. I swear on my life, I had no clue. Brad looked at me for a second, then sighed, defeated. Yeah, I guess my mom slapped the back of Brad's head. You can't control your own wife and you're blaming your sister. My poor grandson. I haven't even held him yet. Mom started wailing again. Brad put his head down looking like a whipped dog. To keep my hands clean, I used the excuse that pregnant women shouldn't be around hospitals. To avoid visiting Tiffany, I stayed home waiting for my own due date. One night, bored out of my mind, I was scrolling through TikTok, and there she was. Her handle was Tiffany the Queen. She already had like 100K followers. Apparently, she started this account as soon as she got pregnant. Her bio was all about self-love and alpha female energy. At first it was just videos of her eating ice cream with heavy makeup, or wearing stilettos with a baby bump.
No, nobody cared.
Low views. Then she posted the video. In the clip, Tiffany looks straight into the camera, ring light reflecting in her eyes. I've decided to evict this baby at 33 weeks via C-section, she announced. I refuse to let my body be covered in ugly stretch marks. I can't accept looking like a road map, even if it's my kid. He's a separate person. Why should I sacrifice my hot body for someone else? Sorry, not my vibe, ladies. Remember, we are queens first, mothers second. So I booked the surgery. I'm taking my body back. She looks so serious, like she was leading a movement. The video went viral. The comment section was a dumpster fire of toxic positivity and stupidity. Bad bitch energy. Yas queen slay.
Protect your peace.
Hot mama 22. Totally agree. I see these fat cows pushing strollers, and I just pity them. They lost themselves to child freaks, though. Kids grow up to be ungrateful anyway. Why ruin your body? You do. You boo a preggy. OMG. Taking notes. I'm gonna get a tummy tuck immediately after. Who needs to know we even gave birth? There were a few sane people. Nurse Ratchet. Are you insane? 33 weeks is a preemie. You're risking brain bleeds and lung failure. This is child abuse. But Tiffany's army of queens attacked them immediately. A Tiffany fan won. Shut up, Karen. It's just a clump of cells until it graduates college.
Anyway,
I am Gen ZC vibes. Okay, boomer. Stop projecting your trauma on her. Free spirit. My body.
my choice.
We can do whatever we want. Survivor. I was a preemie and I'm fine. Stop fear-mongering. Support Tiffany. Tiffany liked all the supportive comments. She posted an update, saying she'd introduce the baby in a glam reveal soon. Her follower count skyrocketed. Reading the comments made me feel sick. It was like watching a cult form in real time. My baby kicked hard, as if he felt my disgust. I rubbed my belly soothingly. My husband Derek rolled over in bed. You okay, babe? You look pissed. I chuckled darkly. Just watching the world burn on TikTok. Go back to sleep. I watched Derek's chest rise and fall as he drifted back to sleep, completely oblivious to the digital nightmare unfolding on my phone. I stayed awake for another hour, scrolling through Tiffany's account. It was a goldmine of narcissistic delusion. She had monetized her selfishness, and the internet, in all its twisted glory, was eating it up. I didn't feel the urge to intervene. I didn't feel the panic that had cost me my life in the previous timeline. I only felt a cold, calculating calm. Tiffany wanted to be a queen?
Fine.
Let her build her castle on sand. I just needed to make sure my family and I were standing far away when the tide came in. The next morning, I made breakfast, humming softly. Derek kissed my cheek before heading to work, rubbing my belly. Take it easy today, all right? We're in the home stretch. Always, I smiled. Once the door clicked shut, I sat at the kitchen island, opened a burner email account I had created the night before, and pasted the link to Tiffany's viral TikTok video. I sent it to my brother Brad, my mother, and my father with a simple subject line, "Look what Tiffany is posting online." Then, I made a cup of decaf tea, sat back, and waited for the explosion. It took exactly 42 minutes.
My phone rang.
It was my mother. The second I swiped answer, a screech practically shattered my phone's speaker. "Chloe, are you seeing this? Tell me this is a joke. Tell me this is some AI deepfake nonsense," my mother wailed, her voice thick with panic and rage. "Mom, calm down."
What are you talking about?
I asked, injecting just the right amount of sleepy confusion into my voice. The video. Brad just sent the family group chat a video of Tiffany. She did this on purpose. She cut my grandson out of her early because of stretch marks? She's bragging about it to millions of people on that damn app. I could hear my dad in the background, bellowing strings of profanities, the sound of something heavy, probably a dining chair, hitting the floor. Mom, I don't have TikTok. I lied smoothly. What did she say? My mother sobbed hysterically. She called Jackson a parasite. She said she evicted him. Our flesh and blood is hooked up to a ventilator, fighting for every breath, and she's online doing makeup tutorials in her hospital bed. That's awful, Mom. Have you talked to Brad? Brad is at the hospital right now. Your father is driving over there. I swear to God, Chloe, I'm going to wring that girl's neck. I'm going to take my grandson away from her. Don't do anything illegal, Mom. Just focus on Jackson, I said softly, playing the dutiful, concerned daughter perfectly. I can't be stressed right now. My doctor said my blood pressure. Oh, sweetie, I know. You stay home.
Protect your baby.
Your brother has ruined his life, but we won't let her ruin yours. She hung up. I took a slow sip of my tea.
Good.
In my past life, I was the target of their anger because I was the one who forced Tiffany's hand, making them think I caused her postpartum depression. Now, Tiffany was broadcasting her own villainy in 4K resolution. I didn't have to lift a finger. Later that afternoon, Brad called me. He sounded like a man who had aged 10 years in a single week. Chloe, his voice cracked. It's a nightmare. It's a total fucking nightmare. What happened at the hospital? I asked. Mom and Dad confronted her. They burst into her recovery room. Tiffany was doing a live stream. She actually had a ring light set up on her hospital bedside table. When Dad started yelling at her about the video, she flipped the camera around and filmed them. She told her followers she was being verbally assaulted by her toxic, patriarchal in-laws. I bit the inside of my cheek to stop myself from laughing. It was horrific, but the sheer audacity was almost cinematic. Brad, what are you going to do? I grabbed her phone and threw it against the wall. Brad muttered, sounding dead inside. She went completely ballistic. She called security on us. They escorted my parents out. She told me if I didn't buy her a new iPhone 15 Pro Max by tonight, she was filing for divorce and taking all the TikTok money she's making. And Jackson? I asked, my voice dropping. Brad broke down, crying ugly, heavy sobs. He had a brain bleed last night, Chloe. A grade 2 intraventricular hemorrhage. His lungs keep collapsing. The doctors are talking about chronic lung disease. He might have cerebral palsy. And she hasn't even been down to the NICU once. She says the beeping machines give her a migraine. In my last life, Brad stood by while Tiffany beat me, calling me a liar. Hearing him suffer now stirred no pity in me. He chose her. He ignored all the red flags because she was pretty and gave him the trophy wife aesthetic he craved. You need to talk to a lawyer, Brad, I said clinically. Document everything. I can't. If she divorces me, she'll ruin me online. You don't understand, Chloe. She has 300,000 followers now. Her fans are doxing Dad's hardware store. They're leaving fake one-star reviews saying he's a misogynist. The weaponized internet. Tiffany was using her toxic mob as a shield. Just keep your head down, Brad. Focus on the baby. I hung up, feeling a cold shiver. Tiffany was dangerous in my past life with a kitchen knife and a rooftop. Now, she had an army of enablers validating her psychosis. 2 weeks later, my water broke. Unlike Tiffany's frantic, secretive butchery in a shady basement clinic, my labor was natural, surrounded by love and proper medical care. Derek was by my side the entire time, holding my hand, whispering encouragements. After 14 hours of intense but beautiful labor, I pushed out a perfectly healthy, screaming, 8-pound baby boy. We named him Leo. When they placed his warm, plump body on my chest, tears streamed down my face. Not just tears of joy, but tears of profound relief. I had protected him. I had survived. My parents visited the next day. The contrast between their visit to me and their reality with Tiffany was stark. My dad held Leo, crying quietly into his blanket. He's so heavy, Dad whispered. He feels so strong. I knew he was comparing Leo to Jackson, who was still trapped in an incubator, hovering around 4.5 pounds, covered in wires. How are things with Brad? I asked gently. My mom's face darkened. That witch discharged herself. She left Jackson at the hospital. She told the nurses she needs me time to heal her trauma. She's home, doing online shopping and posting snapback videos. Mom looked at me, her eyes filled with regret. You look beautiful, Chloe. A real mother. I don't care if you have stretch marks or a tummy. You're glowing. Ironically, I didn't have many stretch marks. Just like my past life, my genetics favored me. My skin was elastic. I had a slight pooch, but that was normal. When we brought Leo home, life settled into a tiring but wonderful routine of late-night feedings and diaper changes. I kept a strict boundary. Tiffany was not allowed near my house, and I was not going near hers. But I kept watching her TikTok. It was like observing a car crash in slow motion. Tiffany's snapback wasn't going as planned. Because she went to a shady, cash-only clinic to get the 33-week C-section, the surgeon was clearly a butcher. She had posted a vulnerable update showing her scar. It was jagged, asymmetrical, and heavily infected. Furthermore, the irony of human biology had struck her down. Because she had still carried a baby for 8 months, her skin had stretched. The sudden, unnatural deflation of her abdomen left her with a pouch of loose, dimpled skin hanging over her botched scar. The comment section on that video was divided. Her hardcore fans praised her raw reality, but the trolls had arrived. User_9921. Thought you evicted him so you wouldn't be ugly? Looks like a chewed up piece of gum, lol. Queen Slayer. You literally risk your baby's life to avoid stretch marks, and you still got the mommy pouch. Embarrassing. Tiffany's response was unhinged. She posted a 6-minute rant, mascara running down her face, screaming at the camera. I am a victim of medical malpractice. The doctor botched my body, but I am still a queen. I'm starting a GoFundMe for my reconstructive surgery and my baby's medical bills. If you support women, you will donate. I clicked the GoFundMe link in her bio. The goal was $100,000. Unbelievable. She was using Jackson's tragedy, a tragedy she orchestrated, to fund a tummy tuck. A month later, Jackson was finally discharged from the NICU. He was fragile, requiring supplemental oxygen and a feeding tube. Brad had to take unpaid leave from work to care for him because Tiffany flat out refused. I can't look at him, Tiffany said in a leaked audio recording Brad played for me over the phone. He looks like a rat, Brad. His breathing tube makes a disgusting noise. I need my sleep. I have a brand sponsorship deal with a tummy tea company tomorrow. Keep him in the guest room. Brad sounded utterly broken. Chloe, I'm drowning. The medical bills are piling up. The GoFundMe raised $40,000, but she transferred it all to her private account. She bought a Cartier bracelet yesterday. When I asked her for money to buy Jackson's specialized preemie formula, she told me to man up and provide. Brad, you need to secretly record everything. I advised him, my voice steady. Every threat. Every time she refuses to care for the baby.
Check the bank statements.
If she's using GoFundMe money, which states it's for medical bills for jewelry, that's wire fraud. The internet will turn on her, and so will the law. I'm scared of her, Chloe. She looks at me sometimes with nothing in her eyes. Just dead, black nothing. Record her. I repeated firmly. Or you and Jackson are going to go down with her. The climax began on Leo's 3-month milestone. I was hosting a small, private family gathering at our house. My parents were there, doting on Leo, who was a giggling, chubby delight. Brad came alone, looking like a walking corpse. He had bags under his eyes so dark they looked like bruises. He brought Jackson in a specialized car seat. My heart broke when I saw my nephew. He was tiny, pale, and a thin nasal cannula was taped to his delicate cheeks, attached to a portable oxygen tank Brad carried like a lifeline. Jackson didn't cry. He just let out weak, raspy squeaks. I took Jackson from Brad, cradling him gently. Hey, sweet boy, I whispered. He stared at me with exhausted eyes. It wasn't his fault his mother was a monster. We were just sitting down for lunch when the doorbell rang. Derek frowned. Are we expecting anyone else? No, I said, a sudden chill prickling the back of my neck. Derek went to the door and looked through the peephole.
His jaw tightened.
It's Tiffany, and she has her phone out on a tripod. She's filming. Brad stood up, panic flashing in his eyes.
No.
I didn't tell her I was coming here. She must have tracked my phone. Let her in, I said softly, handing Jackson to my mother. Derek looked at me like I was crazy. Chloe, no. Derek, trust me. Open the door. Derek unbolted the door and swung it open. Tiffany stood there, wearing a tight, designer pink dress that aggressively squeezed her waist to hide the loose skin, massive sunglasses, and holding her phone on a selfie stick. Hey, fam, Tiffany shrieked, aiming the camera at us. Look who finally decided to drop by to see her toxic sister-in-law. I'm live right now with 40,000 of my queens. Say hi, haters. She pushed past Derek and strutted into my living room. Her camera panned over my parents, who turned their faces away in disgust, over Brad, who shrank into the couch and finally landed on me. Her smile faltered for a fraction of a second. I was wearing a simple, fitted black dress. I had my makeup done. I looked healthy, rested, and radiant. But more importantly, she looked down and saw my flat stomach. The genetics she hated so much in the first timeline had blessed me again. I saw the twitch in her eye. The absolute, venomous jealousy that had driven her to murder me before. Wow, Chloe, Tiffany said, her voice dripping with fake sweetness for her audience. You look so average. It's giving suburban mom. I guess you just gave up on yourself after birth, huh? Hello, Tiffany, I said calmly, refusing to react to the camera. Why are you here? I came to see my baby, she announced, dramatically gasping as she zoomed in on Jackson in my mother's arms. Oh, look at my little warrior. Mommy loves you so much. She didn't take a step toward him. She just filmed him from 5 feet away. Stop filming my grandson. My dad growled, standing up. It's my content, old man. Tiffany snapped, forgetting her sweet persona for a second. My followers paid for his bills. They have a right to see him. They paid for his bills? Brad suddenly spoke up. His voice was trembling, but he stood up. Is that right, Tiffany? They paid for his bills. Tiffany glared at him. Shut up, Brad. Don't ruin my live stream. No, Brad said, his voice rising, stepping into the frame of her camera. Let's talk to your followers.
Gins.
Did you know she hasn't spent a single dime of that GoFundMe on Jackson? The hospital is threatening to send us to collections. But hey, Tiffany, show them your new Cartier bracelet. Show them the Louis Vuitton bags in the trunk of your car. Tiffany's face went white. Brad, shut the fuck up right now. Show them, Brad yelled, stepping closer. Tell them how you refused to learn how to change his oxygen tank. Tell them how you called him a disgusting rat yesterday. The chat on her phone screen must have been moving at light speed. Tiffany scrambled, trying to point the camera away. He's lying. He's an abusive, gaslighting narcissist. Help me, Queens, he's attacking me. But Brad wasn't attacking her physically. He was just standing there crying. You want content? I stepped in, my voice icy and clear, cutting through the chaos. Let's give them content. I walked over to the coffee table, picked up a folder I had prepared weeks ago, and held up a stack of printed bank statements Brad had smuggled to me. I held them right up to the lens of her camera. To everyone watching, I said, looking dead into the lens. Tiffany raised $40,000 for a sick infant. Here are the transfers to her personal checking account. Here are the receipts from Saks Fifth Avenue, Cartier, and a plastic surgery clinic in Miami for a consultation. It's a matter of public record now. My brother has filed a police report for wire fraud. It was a bluff. Brad hadn't filed it yet, but the effect was instantaneous. Tiffany let out a sound that wasn't human. It was a guttural, demonic shriek.
She dropped the selfie stick.
The phone hit the carpet, the camera still pointing up at the ceiling, capturing audio and a tilted view of the room. You bitch, Tiffany screamed, lunging at me. You set me up. You ruined my life again. Again. She didn't know she had killed me in a past life, but her subconscious obsession with me was the same. Before she could reach me, Derek intercepted her, grabbing her by the shoulders and shoving her back hard. Tiffany stumbled and crashed into a decorative side table, knocking over a vase that shattered loudly. Don't you ever touch my wife, Derek roared. Tiffany scrambled up, her wig slightly skewed, her face contorted in pure, unadulterated madness. She looked around, realizing she was surrounded by people who hated her, with her live stream capturing every pathetic, unhinged second. You think you won? She hissed at me, her eyes darting around wildly. You think you're better than me because you popped out a basic kid and didn't get a scar? I am a queen. I am chosen. She grabbed a heavy, brass candle holder off the dining table and swung it at Brad's head. Brad ducked, and the brass smashed into the drywall. My mother screamed, shielding Jackson. I'll kill all of you, Tiffany shrieked, swinging the makeshift weapon wildly. I'll kill that little rat baby. He ruined my body. He ruined my life. Derek, call the cops. My dad shouted, stepping forward to grapple with her. But I was faster. In my past life, I was passive. I let her trick me onto a roof. I let her push me. I spent my last moments in terror. Not this time. I grabbed the heavy wooden handle of the fireplace poker. As Tiffany broke free from my dad and charged at me, raising the brass candlestick, I didn't flinch. I swung the iron poker like a baseball bat, aiming low. The heavy iron connected squarely with her kneecap. There was a sickening crack. Tiffany's eyes widened in shock before her mouth opened in an agonizing, deafening scream. She collapsed to the floor, dropping the candlestick, clutching her ruined knee, thrashing in the shattered glass of the vase. My leg. My leg. You broke my fucking leg, she sobbed, writhing on the ground. I stood over her, the iron poker resting casually on the floor next to me. I looked down into her tear-streaked, terrified eyes. For a brief second, I remembered the wind rushing past my ears, the horrifying plunge from the rooftop, the concrete rushing to meet my face. Bodies don't snap back, Tiffany, I whispered so softly only she could hear. Especially shattered ones. The police arrived less than 5 minutes later, thanks to Derek's call. The paramedics followed. Because Tiffany's phone had been live streaming the entire time, there was no way she could spin the narrative. 40,000 people watched her attack her husband, threaten to kill her disabled infant, and attempt to assault her pregnant-looking sister-in-law. They also heard the undeniable evidence of her GoFundMe fraud. The internet is a fickle beast. The same army of queens who had cheered for her toxic independence turned on her with terrifying speed. By the time Tiffany was loaded into the ambulance under police guard, the hashtag Tiffany the Scammer was the #1 trend globally. True crime TikTokers were already making hour-long deep dives into her bank statements and child neglect. The fallout was absolute. GoFundMe froze her accounts and initiated an investigation for fraud. The state stepped in, and Child Protective Services formally stripped Tiffany of any custody rights to Jackson. She didn't even fight it. From her hospital bed, recovering from a shattered patella, she tried to post a video claiming she was the victim of a coordinated family setup, but her account was mass-reported and permanently banned by the platform. She was utterly silenced. Brad filed for divorce and sole custody. With the video evidence and the fraud charges looming over her, Tiffany's cheap, clout-chasing lawyer advised her to sign everything over. She was formally charged with wire fraud, assault with a deadly weapon, and child endangerment. Because it was a first offense for the fraud, and she played the severe postpartum psychosis card, she avoided a 20-year sentence. But the judge was entirely unsympathetic to the assault and neglect charges. Tiffany was sentenced to 5 years in a federal women's correctional facility, followed by mandatory psychiatric evaluation and restitution payments. 2 years later, I sat on the porch of our new house, watching the autumn leaves fall. Leo was 2 years old now, a chaotic, laughing toddler chasing a golden retriever puppy across the grass. The front gate opened, and Brad walked in, holding a small hand. Jackson was almost 3. He was still small for his age, and he wore tiny, specialized braces on his legs to help him walk due to his mild cerebral palsy. But the oxygen tank was gone. His lungs had grown stronger. He had a sweet, crooked smile and bright, intelligent eyes. "Auntie Chloe," Jackson yelled, his speech a little delayed, but full of enthusiasm as he hobbled toward the porch. I knelt down and caught him in a big hug, kissing his cheek. "Hey, buddy. Look at you going so fast." Brad smiled, looking tired but genuinely peaceful. He had aged, the gray hair at his temples a permanent reminder of his mistakes, but he had stepped up. He was a dedicated single father. He worked from home, took Jackson to his physical therapy appointments twice a week, and spent his evenings reading to him. "We brought cupcakes," Brad said, holding up a bakery box. Jackson picked them out. "Chocolate?" I asked the little boy. Jackson nodded vigorously.
Chocolate.
As the boys went inside to devour the treats, Brad lingered on the porch with me. He leaned against the railing, looking out at the yard. "I got a letter today," Brad said quietly.
I paused.
"From her?" He nodded. "She's up for early parole next month. She wrote to say she's found herself in prison. She said she's writing a memoir about how society failed her, and she wants to see Jackson when she gets out." I felt a brief flicker of the old anger, but it washed away quickly. "What are you going to do?" "I gave the letter to my lawyer," Brad said, his jaw setting firmly. "There's a permanent restraining order. If she comes within 1,000 feet of my son, she goes straight back to a cell. She's dead to us, Chloe." I smiled softly, putting a hand on my brother's shoulder.
Good.
Tiffany wanted to be a queen. She sacrificed her child, her family, and her freedom for vanity and the applause of strangers. Now, she was locked in a concrete box, stripped of her designer clothes, her filters, and her audience. Her body, the temple she committed atrocities to preserve, was forever marked by a botched surgical scar and a shattered knee that gave her a permanent limp. She got exactly what she paid for. I looked through the window into my warm, sunlit living room. Derek was making airplane noises, flying a giggling Leo through the air, while Jackson clapped and cheered, his face smeared with chocolate frosting. I closed my eyes, listening to the joyful sounds of the life I had fought to protect. I took a deep breath of the crisp autumn air, feeling the steady, unbroken beat of my own heart. This time, nobody was pushing me off the edge. I had my feet firmly on the ground, and the view was beautiful,